Those damn sparrows are flying again, old hoss, and I might just be falling apart about it. Here are 19 reasons to watch The Dark Half. Hi everyone, I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is a place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. And at the moment, we're going through the movies and adaptations of Stephen King's works, and we're up to 1993, which means The Dark Half. And in this video, I'm going to give you 19 reasons to watch it. But first, just quickly, I'm going to do a couple of quick plugs for you. So everything you need to know when it comes to plugs, my Stephen King newsletter, my Stephen King quiz book, my fiction I've published, the Constant Writers podcast, my Letterboxd profile, they're all in the description below. Feel free to check out any of them if you can or if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm happy that you're here nonetheless. But yeah, any support would be much appreciated. I know I tried to cut these down recently because some of you don't like the rambling.
You are disturbing the peaceful frame of mind I'm in.
Okay, point taken. Let's get on with 19 reasons to watch The Dark Half, shall we? So as I said, we're up to 1993, George A. Romero's adaptation of the 1989 novel of the same name, The Dark Half, which I should have picked up as a prop, but is actually on my shelf. Can't be bothered to fix that now. Let's just roll with it. We're covering The Dark Half. So if you want to watch this one, well, you can. You can buy it here on YouTube, you can rent it on Apple, and if you're in the US, you can stream it as well. At the time of recording, you can stream it on Freevee, Pluto, or Tubi. Okay. Enough jibber jabber. Let's get on with this, shall we? Here are 19 reasons to watch The Dark Half. So my takeaway reason for watching this one is essentially a plea for more people to watch this fucking film. This is a brilliant and faithful adaptation of an excellent book, and both the book and the movie are criminally underrated and underappreciated. This movie captures the violence and the unhinged crazy nature of what we see on page wonderfully in a film, and it's just crazy and compelling as a movie. Once you suspend a bit of disbelief, of course. But yeah, it's nasty. It's violent, it's shocking, and it is a really good time. Oh, and also, the fucking sparrows are flying again. Creepy. Now, if all had gone to plan, we would have covered this movie a few weeks, maybe even months ago, because it was all shot and done in 1991 and ready to go out. But it took 2 years for it to come out because Orion had serious money problems. So there you go. So what's our hook of this one? Well, it's very similar to the book. Except we've got people in it, playing people. You know what I mean. Timothy Hutton, he plays Thad Beaumont, who is a college lecturer and is an author of highbrow literary fiction that the critics like, the public don't really like either. However, he has a secret. He is also George Stark, author of this nitty, violent, nasty crime stuff that the public laps up and has been paying the bills for absolutely years. And Thad is there kind of hoping to focus on his more serious stuff and trying to think of a way to get away from the George Stark stuff when some guy called Fred Clawson turns up and threatens to spill Thad's secret.
I know all about it.
And tries to blackmail him. So in response, Thad decides to go public himself. He stages a mock burial of George Stark, effectively killing him off, and thinks that is that. Only George doesn't want to be killed off. Yeah, he comes to life and starts taking revenge on all the people who have decided to shut him down, all with the hope of getting closer to Thad to collaborate on one final terrifying novel. This was a pretty big role for Timothy Hutton because not only does he play the fluffy heartthrob Thad, he also plays the greased back, scarily violent bully of George Stark. He does both roles, and he does them really, really well. Now, I'm sure actually that I remember that Timothy Hutton is a method actor guy. So I wouldn't like to have been on set when he was being George Stark. Let's put it that way. Old horse. So Amy Madigan, who plays Thad's wife Liz, is also excellent, and you really buy their relationship and you really want them to win out and succeed. And you don't want their kids to die either. My only query is, like, guys, why are you sitting on the floor to eat your dinner? So Michael Rooker as Alan Pangborn is pretty good as well. Although, if I'm being honest, my heart's true Alan Pangborn will meet in a couple of weeks. But Rooker, he's tough, he's no nonsense, and he's not willing to accept bullshit. But then ultimately has to accept a load of supernatural bullshit. And there you go. That's what the life of the policeman's like, I guess. Resisting the urge to say something political. So the location for this feels right. It feels Maine-y. It feels kingy. It feels Castle Rocky. It just works, okay? The only thing is, the horse and cart driving down the main street of Castle Rock completely threw me. I mean, we've got our leads with no chairs to have their meals on, and seemingly no cars, or very still horse and carts in Castle Rock. Like, I know Orion had money problems, but seriously? So Julie Harris as Thad's wise friend Reggie is also well worth the admission fee. She's a very small part, but very memorable, and at times genuinely fucking funny.
I do hope it's not you, Thaddeus. I'd hate to think of George Stark taking over your lecture group.
So we'll have to note that this feels like a very personal thing for King.
Yes, I'll forgive you for noting that.
Thanks.
I don't think George would, though.
I mean, of course, he went through this kind of thing with Bachman, like without Bachman coming to life and killing people and stuff. But yeah, it feels like a lot of the little statements in here, a lot of the lines that are thrown out, you can imagine King saying them. And I think it's good that his friend, George A. Romero, was in charge of this, and he's done it in a way that gets those little digs and niggles out, but also gives us a really great, violent horror film. Lastly, before spoilers, you might look at this and say, 2 hours, that's quite a lot. And I'm with you, I love a 90-minute movie more than anything, but this one is definitely worth 2 hours of your time. The second hour is this really tense cat and mouse game. The first hour, fucking bloodbath. It's wonderful. Okay, so after this point, coming up are things that potentially will ruin a first time watch for you, so consider this your spoiler alert. You can either leave here, or you can jump in the description to just the outro and come and say bye to me there. But either way, if you're going here, come back soon. Otherwise, stick around because I've got a few more reasons for you to watch The Dark Half coming right up. So apart from some merging of characters and a bit of streamlining here and there, this is a pretty faithful adaptation of a pretty damn good book. And just like in the book, there are some great deaths in this one. Homer Gamache, Clawson, the cops in the apartment, all really good. There are also a bunch of scenes that will always make this movie worthwhile and are worth you going back and watching again if you haven't seen it for a few years. I mean, top of that list, the surgery sequence at the start, I mean, chef's kiss. Oh, and Thad's nightmare sequence where everything is terrifying and fucked up and cracking and exploding. Really good. And it feels like an actual dream. It feels like a dream would actually look. It doesn't feel like a movie dream. If that makes sense. I can imagine this happening in someone's head. It's just fucked up and brill. Oh, and how about the big twist? The big twist, of course, about the character Donaldson. He's bald. However, much as I love the surgery at the start, my favourite scene is probably the one where Thad gives himself a certain type of hand job. You filthy animal. As for my favourite line, well, it's from George and it's cheesy, but it's effective.
I've decided to change agents. Sorry, Rick. It's a cutthroat business.
So a few links to other King works here. George A. Romero obviously directed Creepshows 1 and 2, and if you believe the rumours, some of Maximum Overdrive, while Timothy Hutton would later go on to be in Secret Window, another split personality story. Amy Madigan was married to Ed Harris, who would be the next portrayal of Alan Pangborn in Needful Things as well. Fun fact for you. Elsewhere we've got Ken Broadhurst was in Silver Bullet, Christine Forrest, David Early and John Amplas were all in Creepshow, and there are a couple of things for you to notice on screen as well. So at the start we see young Thad writing a story, and that story is called Here There Be Tigers. That's the same title as one of King's earliest published stories, which he later collected in Skeleton Crew. We've also got the fact that the Beaumonts, when they're not at their place in Castle Rock, live in Ludlow, which is a setting for Pet Sematary. And did you notice those things that Reggie said? You know?
Wish I had a talisman to give you, or a silver bullet, or a stake to drive through the monster's heart.
Wish I had a talisman, wish I had a silver bullet for you. Yeah, that was deliberate, wasn't it? Silver Bullet being, of course, the adaptation of Cycle of Werewolf, and Talisman, of course, being a shit book. I know it's not shit, I just don't like it. Don't at me. So lastly, this is simply a great autumn horror watch. It's nasty, it's violent, and yeah, sure, it borders on being trashy.
I like trash. I love trash.
Thanks, but anyway, it just does a great job throughout in terms of keeping you hooked and driving you towards this gruesome climax to wrap it all up. And like I said at the start, it deserves way more love, so go and give this one a go and tell a friend about it too. And read the book.
You just don't want to give up George. You become attached to him.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, is that so weird?
There we go, my 19 reasons to watch The Dark Half. Let me know what you think of this one. Are you a fan? It's been a while since you saw it. What do you think of Timothy Hutton? Do you prefer him as Thad? Do you prefer him as George? What's your favourite death? All of those kind of things. And don't forget to check all the links in the description. You'll find my newsletter, the Constant Writers podcast, Stephen King quiz book, fiction, letterbox profile, and you can come and say hi on Instagram where I'm at Dave Musson as well. Any support like that would be very much appreciated. Next time we're heading into the woods because a friend of ours has found something and now they're full of all these green tinged ideas, and I don't think we're in for a good time, okay?
One of the teeth has a small cavity.